Looking good, my guy. Hey, looking swaggy yourself, bro.
Did you send out tomorrow's itinerary?
I was just about to when I get back. Why?
Jen's saying she's having second thoughts. That the talking points don't align with her core values.
Two player centric?
Yeah, exactly. They don't feature...
Every basketball fan around the world knows the legend of MP. Son of Prince, grandson of Truck, fearless competitor, tireless worker, winner. And while the seeds of all of this were planted long before I met him, the MP that I met was, in many ways, still a child. Now, I don't mean that as an insult. When he first walked into my office, he was only 19 years old. How many of you were fully formed adults at 19, huh? Shaq? I'm looking at you specifically, buddy. Now, what do I mean when I say he was a child? Well, for one thing, he had a child's enthusiasm for the game. MP hung on my every word when we first met. Listened to everything I said like it was the most important thing he had ever heard. I mean, he really did listen. You know, he'd go out and execute something you talked about in a film session like he'd been working on it his entire life. But he was a child in other ways, too. For one thing, he was obsessed with Ninja Turtles. I'm serious. He had the figurines and everything. He said they'd be worth a lot of money one day, but I'm pretty sure he played with them when no one was watching. What I'm trying to say is that MP was himself, first and foremost, from day one in the league until the day he retired. And while he did a lot of growing up over the years, that boyish enthusiasm for the game never left him. It's what made him great. He never lost that passion for learning and growing and getting better. And I'm pretty sure he still has those Ninja Turtle figurines laying around somewhere. Now, you can't talk about MP without talking about his accomplishments on the court. So, let me talk about some of the most impressive. He is the league's all-time leading scorer. In a game defined by who can make buckets and who can't, MP was the greatest bucket getter of all time. He holds the record for most points scored in a single season. That's right. He scored more points in a single year than Wilt. More than MJ, more than LeBron, more than whoever your favorite's favorite is. MP was that dude. He holds the record for assists in a single season. I've never seen someone so dialed in over the course of an entire year, and I doubt we ever will again. He holds the record for steals in a single season. No pass was safe that year, or most years for that matter. He is the best ball hawk this league has ever seen. He holds the record for three-pointers made in a single season. Now, records are made to be broken, but it's gonna be a long time before we see someone that locked in for that long a period of time. He broke the most unbreakable record in sports, topping Wilt's famous 100-point game. I mean, come on! Will anyone who witnessed that masterpiece ever forget where they were when they saw it? I know I won't. I mean, I happen to have the best seats in the house, but still. Look, I could go on and on about the greatness of MP, but I know he likes to do that too. So, rather than step on all of his toes, allow me to introduce the man you are all here to see, the legend, the GOAT, MP.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Coach Warren, for that beautiful introduction. Some people might be wondering why you took a few shots at me in my extremely valuable collectibles, but anyone who knows you knows you're a master motivator. And anyone who knows me knows I rise to the occasion when I've been disrespected. So once again, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me unlock the best version of me. Like Coach Warren just mentioned, people know my story by now. They know about my grandpa, the late, great Truck. They know about my father, Prince, and how he joined the league as a cocky kid, but left a champion. But what they might not know is that throughout my career, me and my dad would have these sprawling conversations late into the night, where we talk about the history of the game and my family's place in that history. One of my favorite memories from those conversations was the time my dad told me the story of my grandpa's first NBA game. My grandpa didn't have the advantages I had growing up. He was raised in the inner city by a blue-collar father and a stay-at-home mom. There were times when they struggled to put food on the table, but he never complained. He never asked, why me? He just put his head down and got to work. He could have taken the easy way out and did things he wasn't supposed to make a quick buck. But my grandpa, he wasn't built like that. He had love in his heart, and he wanted to make his parents proud. Now, don't get me wrong. If you mess with him or someone he loved, hey, well, trust me, you didn't want to do that. When it came time to fight for what was right, he never backed down. And that's the kind of ball player he was. He didn't have the most skill, but he had the most heart. He fought for a spot in the NBA like his life depended on it. Through sheer force of will, he got drafted by the Celtics in the 3rd round. He was sent to a minor league team to start his career, but he stayed ready. And it's a good thing that he did, because he only had 24 hours from the time he was called up to the time he had to guard Magic Johnson. And what did he do? He shut him down when everyone expected him to fall on his face. Nah, my grandpa, he rose to the occasion. I'll never forget the pride I saw on my father's face when he told me that story. He knew that if it wasn't for my grandpa's fierceness, loyalty, and unwavering belief in himself, neither of us would be where we are today. I love you, Grandpa. Thanks for everything. One of my favorite moments from those conversations was when my dad told me about the game that my grandpa outdueled Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Everyone remembers Truck as a defensive force, a great locker room guy, a valuable veteran mentor who showed young guys the ropes. But what most people don't remember is that the man could hoop. And that wasn't his strength, but when he felt like the team needed it, He wasn't afraid to get into his bag. If you don't believe me, watch the game. For those who need a refresher, the Pistons lost their first 3 matchups with the Bulls that year, and Coach Daly was sick of it. So during the 4th game, when MJ went out for 11 of the Bulls' first 12 points, my grandpa got the call to come in and knock MJ around a little, bad boy style. But Grandpa had other plans. He knew that what the team needed that day was for someone to go toe-to-toe with his airness. And by the time the dust settled, defensive stalwart Truck had outdueled the great Michael Jordan. The thing that I love about that story is that it shows a side of my grandpa most people didn't get to see. He sacrificed for his family, and he was a really serious guy, but he loved life, and he loved the game of basketball. And every once in a while, that fun-loving guy would come out of his shell and show the world that you can't pigeonhole someone, no matter how well you think you know them. One of my favorite memories from those conversations was the time that my dad told me about his first game against the late, great Kobe Bryant. People might remember that my dad was on fire that game, and you might expect him to be proud of that. But it turned out to be the worst thing for him, because it gave him too much confidence. You need to believe in yourself to make it in this league, for sure. But the flip side to that is you have to stay hungry. And sometimes, when you get early success, it can go to your head. That's what happened to my dad. He took his foot off the gas and was left behind. For a little while, anyway. The great thing about this story is it ends in triumph. Rather than whine and sulk his way out of the league, he got his head screwed on straight, got to work, and ended his career a champion. Growth isn't linear. When you think things can only go up, they go down. And when you think things can only go down, hey, they go up. My dad learned that the hard way, but he learned it. And that perseverance is something I'll always respect about him. One of my favorite memories from those conversations is when my dad told me about shutting down the great LeBron James in the NBA Finals. I love you, LeBron, don't get me wrong, but this is my moment, so I gotta tell this story. That's not always easy for someone like him. My dad could hoop. He had everything in his bag. But the proudest moment of his career was Game 4 of the Finals, when he used every last ounce of energy he had to shut down the greatest player on the planet. And again, I'm sorry, LeBron, but he held King James to under 10 points. Do you understand how wild that is in that moment? Lots of people still think he's some brash kid with no respect for the game. But those who knew him and love him like I do understand that he's a human being, one who learned from his mistakes and came out on the other side a better ball player and a better human being. My family paved the way for me, and I had every advantage growing up. But once I got to the NBA, they couldn't play the games for me. And as a lot of you remember, my first game was the most hyped debut since LeBron James. All eyes were on me, and everyone expected me to be spectacular. So what did I do? I killed it, obviously. I'm sure you guys remember. $20 million people watched that game. There's a reason I'm standing here right now, and it's not because I'm a great public speaker. It's because I delivered, time and time again. One of the most important things you can do if you want to have success is to set goals. And me, being who I am, I set some pretty lofty ones for my rookie season. I wanted to be the first player in NBA history to win Rookie of the Year, MVP, a championship, and Finals MVP. And I did it. People said I was crazy, but I knew I had the talent and the drive to do what had never been done before. It might sound cocky, but what's cocky when you can back it up? To me, that's just being honest. Speaking of being a legend, who can't forget all those championships I won? I know you can't, Michael. I know you can't, LeBron. Because I got more than both of y'all. That might seem petty to some of you, but you can't get to where I am without being competitive. And for a competitor like me, there's nothing better than rubbing your accomplishments in the face of your enemies. I've been up here for a little while now, and it's just about time to say goodbye. But before I do, I want to address some of the big-name pundits who've put me at the top of their GOAT list recently. So here it goes. What took you so long? The championships not enough? Were the records not enough? Some people say I should be grateful to be in the discussion. But legends aren't grateful to be in a discussion. We want to win. That's what competition is all about. So for those of you who only now got on the bandwagon, I don't need you. Matter of fact, I don't want you. But if you've been here all along, you'll always be in my heart. I can't thank you enough for joining me on this crazy ride. And with that, all I've got to say is this: MP out.